Is Richard III the biggest baddie in Shakespeare? I'm talking about the hunchbacked, power hungry, baby killing royal lunatic that Shakespeare turned into one of the most entertaining villains in English literature. We're talking Hannibal Lecter levels of manipulation, murder, and misery. Do you know someone that's this bad? Leave a comment if you do. First off, a bit of context. England, 15th century. Wars of the Roses. Two families, Yorks and Lancasters. Bunch of posh lads fighting over who gets to wear a fancy hat and call themselves king. Basically like Succession, but with swords and more incest. So who's Richard then? Richard's the little brother no one asked for. Born last, walks funny, and spends most of his childhood glaring at everyone else who's taller, prettier, or not plotting murders in their free time. He's not your classic Disney villain. He's worse. He's clever, charismatic, and he talks to the audience like a dodgy bloke in a pub who just told you how to rig a horse race. Shakespeare opens with Richard coming on stage like, "Now is the winter of our discontent," right? And everyone in the audience is thinking, "Ooh, poetry." But basically he's saying, right, everyone else is happy because the war's over, but I'm not, so I'm going to ruin it. Already a red flag, isn't it? War ends, and instead of celebrating, Richard's like, nah, let's stir up a bit of murder. Like someone turning up to a wedding and going, lovely dress, shame if something happened to the bride. Then he lays out the plan. I'm not fit for love, he says, so I'll become a villain. That's it. That's the CV. Imagine going to a job interview and saying, I'm ugly, emotionally unavailable, and my hobbies include manipulation and fratricide. And they go, perfect, welcome to the royal court. Now here's where it gets mad. Richard starts knocking people off one by one. Brothers, nephews, political rivals. Anyone with a crown or a conscience, gone. And he does it all with this wicked little smile, like he's loving every second of it. Honestly, if LinkedIn had a section for professional evil, Richard would be endorsed by half the Plantagenet family. The other half? Dead. He even manages to woo Lady Anne, whose husband and father-in-law he literally just murdered. And he does it at the funeral. That's not just confidence, that's sociopathic flair. Imagine murdering someone's boyfriend and then showing up to the wake like, sorry about Steve, fancy a drink? And she says yes, because Shakespeare. Now, politics. Richard schemes his way onto the throne, right? And the way he does it is just masterclass. He pretends he doesn't want it, stands there going, no, I'm not fit to be king, too humble, too pious, I'm basically a monk with a limp. Meanwhile, he's got a crown-shaped hole in his head and a hit list in his pocket, and everyone falls for it, like he's tricked the entire kingdom by doing the medieval version of, who, me? I couldn't possibly. While inching closer to the throne, like a lad sidling up to the last sausage roll at a buffet. And then, bang! King Richard III. All hail! And by hail, I mean run, because now the real horror begins. Richard starts ruling like it's a video game, and he's just unlocked all the cheat codes. Every conversation he has ends with, kill him, imprison him, or tell the public it's fine. Honestly, it's like if Twitter had executive power. And this is where Shakespeare goes full drama. Ghosts start showing up. Not just one, loads. All the people Richard's murdered come back like, hiya, just popping by to say you're doomed. Which, by the way, is the only time in literature that a haunting feels like an intervention. Then comes the final battle, Bosworth Field. It's chaos. Swords, horses, shouting. Richard's losing. And then he delivers that famous line. A horse! A horse! My kingdom for a horse! Now, people read that and think, oh, how poetic. But really, he's just a war criminal stuck in the mud, screaming for an Uber. And then he dies. Just like that. No fanfare, no glory. He's stabbed up by Henry Tudor's men and dumped in a shallow grave. Centuries later, they find his bones under a car park in Leicester. Honestly, you couldn't write it. Except Shakespeare did. So what's the takeaway? Well, Richard's the ultimate warning tale. Power without ethics. Charm without empathy. The sort of bloke who'd win Villain of the Year at the office Christmas party, while everyone else hides the stapler. He's what happens when you mix ambition with no moral compass and sprinkle a bit of Shakespearean flair on top. And yet, he's fun. He's compelling. Because deep down, we love a good villain, don't we? Not in real life, obviously, but on stage? Oh, give us the baddies. Hannibal Lecter, Voldemort, Richard III, all posh, all terrifying. All probably great at pub quizzes. Richard speaks to that dark little voice in all of us that wants to get away with it. Be clever. Win. Prove everyone wrong. But then Shakespeare gently reminds us, yeah, but at what cost? So here's to Richard, the crook-backed devil, the original manipulator, the schemer in chief. Not a hero, not even close. But what a performance. What a show. And in the end, that's what Shakespeare gave us. A villain we can laugh at, fear, and maybe, just maybe, learn from. Here's a question for you. What would you do if you had a Richard in your family? Would you fight them? Get them arrested? Have them committed to an asylum? Leave a comment. And while you're at it, remember to like and subscribe.